Hey guys, welcome to the Movie Champs review for this is a spoiler review for Ready Player One.
Mm-hmm.
I am Walker Cheatham, and this is
EJ Flemming.
all right. So we don't need to give our whole summary again because you guys have watched it. I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
yeah. Assuming if you're watching this video, that's assumed you've already known you've watched this movie.
Yes.
So you can't get mad for clicking a video with a big spoiler alert in the thumbnail.
In the thumbnail and spoiler in the title.
Mm-hmm.
So this is spoilers.
We're gonna talk about events and characters and the things that happen to them in this movie.
Yes.
This is your last chance to back out now.
All right. So let's go ahead and get into the spoiler review for Ready Player One. So, you want to start, or you want me to start?
You start. I started the actual review.
Okay,
you
so you
start
start this one. Okay.
Yeah.
So, if you had watched my previous review, you know that. What about you? I normally start with things that I didn't like about a movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll go ahead and start it this way for this one. So for me, the things that I did not like about this movie, I guess it's because I'm negative.
And we work together well. He's the negative guy that always finds the flaws, and I'm the guy that's like, no, that's okay because this happened later or this happened. Okay.
So one of the big problems I had in this movie was some of the character development, particularly with the romance between Olivia Cooke's character and Ty Sheridan's character. I didn't feel it at first. They did have chemistry later on in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the chemistry was actually really good, but I just had already been kind of turned off quite a bit with that whole scene with him telling her he loves her. I think that scene would have been made way more effective had they just left out the whole "I love you" part and just let it be what it was. It was a great moment between the two of them that could have just led into what later on became a good chemistry relationship between the two.
I think the reason, like I was explaining to you before, why that was is because he had already had a crush on her. He had already had knew all these things about her. So then when he meets her, and then she's like a cool personality to go with that in as well. So he's like, well, I want this for myself.
Yeah, well, she was turned off quite a bit, not by the comment, but by the events that occurred around that, with the whole them being kind of ambushed and stuff. And
because I think what she didn't want to, with the way she described it, she didn't want to be distracted from her mission.
Right.
And her mission was to take down IOI.
Yeah. And she did. I mean, she did tell him though, you don't know me. You just know
you don't know me.
I want you to know.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I want you to know.
Mm-hmm.
So she was. I just feel like there was other ways that they could have done it. And
there were other ways they could have done it, but I think the fact that they're being them both young, it made sense.
Yeah.
I gave it a pass because, like I said, if they were like 30 years old and this happened, then yeah, there's no excuse.
And he wasn't a fully competent hero, which is probably why that occurred.
Yeah.
He wasn't completely in control of every situation that was going on.
Yeah, because he's just a kid.
Yeah. I mean, even down to the end, he gained control, but he wasn't completely in control of this entire show. So I guess that's forgivable, but it's only forgivable it's not forgivable because the director or anybody knew it. It's just forgivable because of what happened later on, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. I see what you're trying to say.
I'm just saying he's not the smartest guy but I can't completely blame him for saying "I love you," I guess.
Yeah.
To her, just so early on in the movie. But because, like I said, he wasn't.
That was the equivalency of you taking. That was the equivalency of saying that the night you go to prom. Yeah. Look at it that way.
Okay.
You took the girl that you really enjoy, you really want to be with to prom.
As long as the very first interaction with that girl is, do you want to go to prom? That's how you can relate it. That's what it felt like. It's like, do you want to go to prom? Sure. 3 days later, you're at prom, and you say "I love you" to this girl. That's like step one and step two. That's how it felt to me. It just felt way rushed, and I was just, like I said, it was.
Maybe it also plays into the fact that by him being in the Oasis, he could be more free with what he says, because just like her, he's not who he's supposed to be.
That would have been interesting. to see the key, what they call the keyboard warriors, live inside this universe. I didn't really think I saw that, but now when you say it like that, these people shouldn't have so much, but there are stakes for them. They can't completely be just carefree because of how many things that they have invested into this game and how much this is almost more their life than their real life is now.
Yeah, like they showed you that when the businessman ready to jump out the window when he zeroed out on Planet Doom.
Yeah. So that was a really good illustration of how much is at stake with these people living so much of their lives inside the Oasis.
When I first heard about Ready Player One and the Oasis and all this, I thought it was a situation kind of like The Matrix, where it was like, yeah, people died because if you get killed in this Oasis, you're so plugged in that it shuts your brain down. But then as I watched the movie, I'm like, oh, dying in the Oasis is just like basically getting a game over and having to start back over. Oh, okay, I guess that would suck, but it wasn't the movie I thought I was going to get, and maybe that's why I enjoyed it so much. It was like the stakes were there, but it wasn't the stakes I thought were there.
Right. Yeah, because that's what I thought going into this movie too. Was that if you die in the game, you die in real life.
I thought the Oasis was more like I thought when the Oasis was like an evil thing, like it was going to be revealed that like it's like this thing that ballooned out of control. It's all this and all like that, and he wants to destroy the Oasis, but it didn't turn into that movie. And that's also another thing I probably why I enjoyed more. It didn't rely on that plot point.
Right.
It actually told a story, a human story, through the Oasis.
Yeah, and I guess the other problem I had in this movie, which I guess it kind of at first it was a problem at first, but you have kind of helped me not let this be such a problem, was whenever they executed his aunt and her boyfriend. I thought it was kind of ineffective as far as me as an audience member. But then you explained to me during our last review that it seemed pretty ineffective to him also. So he didn't seem to be affected at all that his family had died because he. But that would have helped. It would have helped a little more if we had seen why it was so ineffective to him.
Well, if you listen to the story, if you were paying attention.
Well, like I said, I saw the fact
like
he was going through.
Yeah, like I could see, like, for example, he cared enough to try to warn them about it.
Right.
But once he see that his warning didn't work, it was kind of like, well, it's kind of like he kind of moved on. It may be more so to the fact that maybe he wasn't given a chance to grieve.
Yeah.
Because think about it. He got out of the Oasis, ran her to the stacks, tried to warn them about what's happening. It happened. He went back to his Oasis room or wherever you want to call it, right, and was trying to send a message to let them know what happened. And as all that was going on, he gets chloroformed and sent up to where she is. Well, all in a matter of moments.
Well, if that's the case, then I didn't care that it didn't affect him so much. But it should have affected us. Is what
I felt like it affected me a little bit because it was like, oh, because it was a big blow. It was a moment of, oh, this movie for all this corporation to be as evil as they were. And funny story, I was sending you messages while I was watching movies, like I want to be in the Oasis and all this and all like that. Mm-hmm. Right after I sent that message, the stacks blew up. I'm like, maybe I don't want to do this no more. Because, like, IOI out here capping people.
Yeah. And this isn't a huge thing, but I wanted to know how IOI, because they do mention many, many times that there are investors involved in IOI, but they have a lot of money, apparently. So, I guess they're... Because of how the amount of employees or slaves basically that they have in there it seems like they have a never-ending amount of money.
Well, they're kind of like the what you call the gold farmers in World of Warcraft.
Right.
They just farm the Oasis for coin.
So they're basically the Bitcoin of this movie.
Yeah. That's why you can go to the store in the Oasis and buy real world things. Like when he got his 100,000 coins for solving the first puzzle, right, he got him the X1. And it was when he got it, it wasn't a tool he got in the store. It was something they sent to him.
Yeah. But with that, that's basically the only issues I had was just with some of the story elements. But besides that, the movie was flawless to me.
I thought it was one cool touch, like with Artemis's character, as she grew more and more, or as she stayed more and more around Wade as a person, it actually reflected in Artemis's design a little bit, even down to near the end of the movie when she looked at what was the Ben Mendelsohn's character's name?
I'm blanking on it, but just say Ben Mendelsohn's character.
Yeah, and she looked at Ben Mendelsohn's character right before she threw in that grenade into his into Mechagodzilla, which, by the way, we had a Gundam fight versus Mechagodzilla in this movie,
and add in the Iron Giant,
and add in the Iron Giant on top of all that. Yeah. Anyway, and right at that moment, you notice something that she gave Artemis's model the exact same birthmark.
Oh, I did not notice that at
all.
Like
at the beginning of the movie, Artemis didn't have it, but near the end, they actually showed Artemis. They made a detail to point out to show that Artemis has the birthmark both in and out of the game now.
Oh wow! Yeah, I did not notice that. That's
like awesome. She's like wearing it as like a badge now, more so than being ashamed of it.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, watch it again and you'll notice what I'm talking about.
I'm definitely gonna watch this one again.
Yeah, I see. Maybe because I picked up the more storytelling details, actually, they were being told through the movie instead of actually being spoken to you in the movie.
But what I did, I liked a lot was like you mentioned, the Easter eggs in this one, especially. Well, this one's not an Easter egg, but the Chucky when they put.
Oh yeah,
Chucky was one of my favorite.
Yeah, Chucky was the best thing about that movie.
In this movie.
I also enjoyed the way they just enjoyed the Sixers room.
Yeah.
Cause the part that was funny to me, we're gonna have to go back a bit, cause when they got into The Shining.
The Shining, yes.
We can talk about it now.
Yes, now we can talk about it. That was my absolute favorite part of this entire movie.
That sequence was amazing.
Yes.
H was the funniest thing in that sequence.
The reaction of H.
Yeah, that was.
Is this a scary movie?
Is this a scary movie? He said, I can't watch this, bro. And then he turned to Show and Taito. Is this a scary movie? He said, I had to watch the entire movie through my fingers. I'm like, ooh. And then when he saw the little girls in the hallway, I said, don't follow them. Yeah, we know this is bad. Don't do this. And then he kept calling the elevator and said, nah, great, you called it. And then the elevator blood opened and it washed him down the hallway. Yeah. And then he ripped the picture in half of and then he like got locked in the room with the naked zombie. I'm like, oh my goodness. They're actually going here. And I'm like, this is greatness. And then they actually figure out what the puzzle's supposed to be. They go to the ballroom.
Oh yeah, so when they're dancing with the zombies.
And then she has to use the zombies like a platform, like he would in a video game, to get to Kira in the middle and ask her to dance. Yeah. And I thought that was a very well thought out, put together scene that was part nostalgia, but then it became part video game level at the same time, and it was very creatively done.
Excellent. Yeah, that was definitely my favorite scene in the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
And also the battle at the end I really enjoyed, because I mean, like a lot of these big action movies, it's like just some kind of apocalypse thing, like when the Marvel movie, or not the Marvel movies, but the DC movies, where it's the big light. Well, some Marvel movies, the big light in the sky.
Some of the
something is destroying the world.
Yeah,
I hate those. I hate that story. It's lazy writing.
Mm-hmm.
But with this one, it was not that case. I mean, there was that giant force field, but that's nothing like that.
Yeah, the force field was more to hide what he was doing.
Yeah,
so they couldn't stop what he was doing.
It was such just a simple ending, sort of. Well, with them playing the Atari. What's the adventure game?
Yeah, Atari Adventure.
Atari Adventure. They're playing that. That's how it's like a subtle ending to this epic battle. Yeah. And Ready Player One. Yes, we came prepared, guys.
Yeah, we came. We thought about tonight.
But I thought that was a really neat ending for them to try. That's what their ultimate goal was, to try to beat this Atari game.
And I thought it was very clever how they actually brought something to our attention earlier in the movie too. It was like a very nonchalant thing early in the movie, but it had major ramifications later.
What's that?
The bet he made with the curator.
Oh yes.
I was like, okay. He said, "I bet you all my coin that this is the only clip of Kira." And he looked through and he said one result. He said, "The bet's a bet." And he flipped him the quarter. And he's like, "Okay,
yeah,
man, keep it." He said, "No, I think you should keep it." He said, "No." And then Artemis was like, "Man, keep this."
Yes.
And then later in the movie, then when Ben Mendelsohn's character in the game activates the catalyst and basically wipes the board clean, I was like, "Oh no, this movie's going.
Like, where's it going to go from here?
Where's it going to go from here?" Then you hear someone walking. I'm like, "Parsifal, well, how are you alive? How is he still alive?" And then he flips the quarter over.
Yeah, until I saw that, I was like, "What a cheap thing to do! Just to, the hero didn't die." And it's like, it's life.
And then like it just like in a regular video game, my mind went, "Why wouldn't the Oasis have extra lives?"
Yes.
They're just hard to get, but they are there.
If they were offering that inside of that store, that coin store that he went into, that would have been. I'm glad they didn't offer it. So I'm glad that's
glad
a
it's
very rare thing that you can only get from a certain.
And I'm glad it was something he wasn't even aware he had.
Right.
Because if he was aware he had it, he might have been more of a little douchey about it.
Yeah.
But by him not knowing that he even had it, it made it all the more special to see him walk out and then go, I'm okay, guys. I have an extra life. And he activated it, and his name reappeared with the scoreboard with the two keys and everything. I'm like, yes. Yep. Oh man, I was like, and then one thing I also liked about this movie too was the fact that all those holiday scholars they had cheered at the end for him, even though IOI didn't win.
Yes,
because at the end it was like they were just people who IOI hired. Yep. They don't have no stakes in this for IOI. Yes. They just wanted to pick Halliday's brain, and since he was gone, that was the next best thing to it.
And I like the detail of having Ben Mendelsohn being so out of touch with pop culture that he has to have those people in his ear
feeding in his ear the whole time. And actually, I would like to think that IOI was supposed to be EA.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wanting the microtransaction and everything, wanted to put everybody in a tier.
Yeah,
where they were like platinum, gold, silver, bronze, the Oasis ads everywhere. It was like, where have I heard all of that before?
Yeah. They were going to try to just turn that game into some kind of.
They were just going to basically make it.
The game up.
Make it like Battlefront 2. But anyway, I thought, and one cool, the simple thing I thought that was really cool they did is when they would play the memories back.
Yes.
And it would actually make it like a 3D diorama. Yeah. So it would look normal, but then he could flip it and rotate it to see other angles and details. I thought that was very cool.
So, the part at the end of the movie with Holiday, giving him basically the Oasis and stuff. I thought that was an interesting scene. It's not a problem that I don't understand why he said he's dead, right?
He said he's dead, but the Halliday he talked to wasn't an avatar.
It wasn't an avatar. Yeah, that's what he said. It's not an avatar. So what is it then?
So what are you? And then he just left.
Yeah.
So I'm taking it to interpret that Halliday as a person died, and his but he uploaded his whole entire mind into the Oasis.
Because he doesn't react like a non-player character.
He doesn't react like he has scripted responses.
Right.
Like when Watts was in the back of the van being bounced around trying to get the key because they were ramming the van from the outside. He went, "Do you want it or not?"
I love that. It's like, yeah, don't close the Oasis off. Turn the Oasis off just yet.
Don't turn your Oasis off on the first minute.
Yeah.
I thought it was also what made it cool too. It's like when he said, "Well, let me find the," and then, "Well, it looks like you got to get the egg."
Yeah.
And he did and then he did the whole hand pat on his leg because he couldn't remember where he put it. And I'm like, That is something he would do. Yeah. Like he's not like he doesn't remember where he put this big thing. It's just here somewhere.
I just liked how they just made him just so socially awkward.
Yeah, so made him so socially awkward, but still so sweet too.
Yes.
it didn't feel like he was.
Because if anybody else had done that, it would have done a performance like that. I would have felt like it was bad acting. But it's Mark Rylance, and this is the character he created out of him. And I already know his acting abilities.
He created like a man who's, like he said, scared of the world, so he made his own.
Yes.
And I thought that was it didn't also feel like it was like patronizing the people like him too.
Yes.
It actually painted him as like a man who was scared of things, and then he's like regretted it, and then he's like trying to like understand why he did what he did, and he didn't understand it.
Right.
And it was very cool that they had that in that movie, in there, period, because I thought the way they were talking about it, it was like he did something really foul and messed up.
Right.
That he was trying to hide, but it was just simple human things he was trying to hide. He regret not falling in love. Mm-hmm. He regretted not taking these chances that he's supposed to have took, and he lived his life with that regret. And it was like, that's very human.
Yes.
It wasn't like this. It didn't play like, it even teased that it might have been something dark and dastardly at that one point where he was looking at all the articles on the wall with the whole her being dead and everything.
Yes.
I'm like, so did he kill her or something? And then it's like, no, she just died without him telling her that he loved her. Yeah. And it was a very sweet and sad moment that this movie had, and I enjoyed it more for it.
But,
no, I don't think no one's seen it yet.
Yeah, I'm glad. That's why I'm saying good no comments.
Yeah.
But and then just I mean, we talked about this in the non-spoiler, but the music in this movie, a bunch of callbacks to some of the fan, what'd you call it? The fandom that they were referencing. I really liked the cube. What's it called?
The Zemeckis cube.
The Zemeckis cube. I thought that was because I was glad that we didn't know what the Zemeckis cube did
until he
used it.
Okay, one thing, because I have to admit, I am a dummy. Because when he broke out the Zemeckis cube and he started using it, I'm like, why is it called the Zemeckis cube?
See, that's why I was meant. I knew Zemeckis did Back to the Future, but I was like, wait, which Zemeckis thing are we referencing here?
And then when he put the cube together and then it played the Back to the Future note,
yes.
I'm like, oh, it's a time travel device. It's time travel.
He said, you waited till now to use it.
And then he said, so then he put it together and he threw it in the air. Everything went back 60 seconds. I said, I'm an idiot. Yeah. Zemeckis, Back to the Future. Yeah. Of course he would have that. His car is the DeLorean.
Yeah. It makes me wonder if the DeLorean car actually can time travel at all.
It did have the flux capacitor and the time machine in it.
Yeah, so I wonder if that's something we might get to see in the sequel. Time travel.
Maybe.
But I like the whole the driving backwards thing to get to the first.
And the way he figured it out, that was cool too.
Yeah, but it was weird that nobody had at least even just tried to drive backwards after as many times as they've been trying to attempt this race and nobody even being able to finish.
Like you said, everyone's always like he said it himself. Everyone's concerned about going forward. Why can't we go back like really, really fast?
Yeah.
he actually listened to that and like, wait. Backwards? Yeah. So then he actually thought about it and said, you're not meant to win because you can't win going that way. Right. Let me go back this time. And he went, and I thought it was cool how they did it because that when he went backwards, he was underneath everything. Yeah. He was like seeing it all happening above him. I'm like,
but the point I was making though is that nobody attempted to drive backwards. So when I play a racing video, I don't play a lot of racing video games, but when I do play racing video games, if I play a couple levels, I do try just to see what happens if I drive backwards. So I'm surprised not out of as many years or however long many years had gone by of them trying to do this race, why nobody tried to drive backwards.
Well, you got to think about it like this. It was all about
just them trying to play by the rule and see how it goes.
Yeah, they were trying to actually win the race the normal way, and you
can't win a race going backwards. backwards.
Exactly. So no one thought to try because you can't win going backwards. Yeah. But then he thought about it and said,
But if they are like losing coin or doing anything like that, trying to do a race, then I could see with them not trying to attempt to go backwards ever, because there's no point in it.
Yeah.
If you assuming that you have to.
And then plus you also had to take into account, they said that the holiday journals had been like, no one used them for like 5 years. Yeah. Because people had kind of forgot about him, but he was the only one still checking in, listening to everything he was saying and whatnot. So it makes sense that he would hear it and figure it out, because he's been doing it every day since he was 18. Yeah. Since doing it from now till he's 18. So it makes sense that he would figure it out.
Yeah, he was one of the few people that just knew, more than likely, if you're going to try to find this key, you're going to have to look into Holiday's life. Mm-hmm. That made sense.
Yeah, it made sense that everything to solve all the puzzles and everything, it actually really was about Holiday himself. Yeah. And then nothing felt like he cheated. Right. Or Holiday cheated, it doesn't feel like anywhere the story cheated it. The story cheated to help move the movie along.
Right, yeah.
It actually made sense. To solve the first puzzle, he was concerned about why is everyone concerned about going forward? Why can't we go back really, really fast? So then he took that and did it and won the race. The second puzzle, he saw that it was all about he regretted not taking her out to dance. So he went to the movie that he took her to instead of dancing, found her in the ballroom, well, Artemis did, and offered her to dance, solving puzzle 2.
I know why they wouldn't do something like this. One, because it would just cost a lot of money, but just to have one time though, where it was a misdirection, where he actually thought something was a clue and it just turned out not to be anything, because it's unrealistic for him to say, "Oh, that must be the clue." He did, and that was the clue.
They did that.
What did they do?
Remember when he said he'd take the leap? And
you're right. Yeah, on the dance floor. Okay, so there was one. The first one.
Did he jumped in that big giant thing?
Never mind. You're right. You pointed there.
Because he said, well, everybody jumped it, didn't have the first key. Dang. Let's see what happens because now that I have this key, let's see what happens if I do it. Well, and it didn't work. And then he said, maybe it's a dance battle. So then they started dancing at the club. And nothing still happened. That's when they got ambushed with the Zemeckis cube and all that.
Apologies, there was one misdirection.
Yeah, they were trying to figure out the puzzle.
I guess I got distracted by what happened.
Yeah, but they did. He did try to solve the second puzzle and got nothing. Yeah. And so
but that was a clue that eventually ended up being a clue, though.
Yeah, but he didn't get the right answer the first time.
He just didn't get the right answer the first time.
And to me, that's a misdirection because he misinterpreted.
Yeah. But I was thinking just something that was just completely that he said that just didn't end up adding up to anything is what I was originally thinking. But there was one sort of misdirection with that one.
And then when the final clue, as soon as they started naming off Atari games, and then when they got to Adventure, I knew exactly what the last puzzle was.
The Adventure one.
Yeah, because I like you say, I'm not the Geek Champ for no reason at all. You just didn't give me that title. I'm telling you why right now. As soon as they said Adventure, I said, he has to find the credits, because what makes Adventure interesting is a little story to it. Back in the days of the Atari, you weren't allowed to credit yourself in the program and credit yourself for anything in the game. It was Atari's work and Atari's work only. Yeah. He was the first one to decide to hide his name in the game itself.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that's why it's hard to find, because it's not meant to be found without doing all these little things. Wow. And then it got to a point that after he made Adventure, a lot of the Atari developers left, but still wanted to make Atari games. That company's still around today.
Sega?
No.
What?
Activision.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, the very first third-party developer left, were a bunch of Atari developers that left and made their own company. That's why every time you play an Activision game, it says Activision at the bottom, because since they don't work for Atari no more, they can credit themselves now. Okay. Just a little bit of history about gaming. That's why it was cool to see that be the final puzzle, the original Easter egg in a video game.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I said that was cool that they added that would be the thing he would have to do to win. Cause like the Sixer was trying it, and he was like, as long as he was playing the game, the ice didn't break. Yeah. As soon as he beat the game, he fell through, because that wasn't the point.
Yeah.
He wasn't supposed to beat the game. He was just supposed to just play around until he found the Easter egg.
What I appreciated about that the whole third act was how on the edge of the seat.
Yeah.
You really did. But the one person I didn't like at all, that I never liked, was that girl that not the Ben Mendelsohn hired to.
Finale.
Yeah, I didn't care for her.
Now, Finale, she was like the stock female assassin character.
Yeah, it felt like a bad.
It felt like
from what's it called? The Sophia Boutella from what was the movie called that she was in? The first Kingsman. God, Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah, that was her.
It wasn't. It felt like Sophia Boutella from.
She felt like Gazelle.
Yeah, she felt like she was being a rip off of her.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, she was like a very unneeded character. They could have cut her part out and not changed the movie much. You could have just made her a hired goon.
Yeah,
I'd made her just a standard IOI associate and got the same thing.
Yeah, because I mean, she ultimately led up to nothing.
And yeah, she
was just rolling away on the highway.
And she punched him in the face at the end.
Well, no, yeah, that's what I mean. But she was arrested after that.
Yeah.
After rolling away on the, as far as what her mission was,
she must be durable because that would have broken her back in the real world.
Yeah, that was bad. That was a bad roll.
Yeah, you don't just fall out of a moving car back first and then no.
I don't care how much jujitsu you do. That is gonna break something.
You're gonna be for a little while for that.
Especially if your main job is working for a video game company. I don't imagine. You having so much training.
I thought it was also kind of funny how Ben Mendelsohn's password was just stuck to the side of the machine.
Yeah.
That's such a douchey thing to do because I love that his password was Bossman69. Yeah. That is such a thing to do.
Yeah. But Ben Mendelsohn was a really good bad guy in this.
Oh yeah, because he was like charming, but he was also a douche too.
Yeah. But I just wish at the beginning we as an audience were able to feel like we could trust him a little bit, but you always had that feeling that this is the bad guy the whole time, which is fine, but it just makes better storytelling in my opinion if we don't really know where he's going to be quite at the beginning. But I did appreciate though the lengths that he wanted to go to secure his position with this IOI company.
Mm-hmm.
It's killing people, and I don't know. He was bad. He was pretty bad.
Yeah.
What was your favorite Ben Mendelsohn moment in the movie?
My favorite Ben Mendelsohn moment in the movie, to me, it was when he picked up when he was in the Oasis getting the orb of whatever it was called. It was hard to pronounce even in the movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then when he logged out and Watson, his friend, was there with the pistols, and then he was like trying to talk his way out of it, and then he looked in the side of his thing, and he saw that they were in the corner in their avatars. Realizing he was in the Oasis, then he took his headset off, but then he didn't come out of the chair immediately. He kind of like, am I really out? I thought that was funny.
Did you? Oh, yes, that was my favorite moment. Because I was wondering, it's like, whoa, how the heck did they get in there? We missed a lot, and then we realized that they're still in the Oasis. That was awesome.
And it wouldn't make sense that he would remember what it would look like.
Right. But one thing that got me that popped in my mind just a little bit there was how well how quickly they were able to do something like that.
Well, you got to remember, H fixed a.
Oh yeah, H is the hacker.
He's the modder of the best, one of the best modders of the Oasis.
Yeah,
so he's the one building the Iron Giant.
But he never had been in there though. So,
but you got to remember, he had never been in there. True, but it takes it. You got to take into consideration that there was a way. I think
unless they use some kind of footage from the room, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how they would have done it. But the fact that they have never been in that room, they were able to make a perfect replica of that to make that mod for the room was what popped in my head just a little bit. But maybe I shouldn't ask those kind of questions.
Yeah, maybe. But H did say something interesting earlier. Near the end, he said, "I always record everything."
Yeah.
Maybe he gave H a heads up.
Maybe. Yeah, because that was just the one thing that got to me. But
another funny scene that I thought was pretty funny in this movie too is when Ben Mendelsohn's character offered him all that money, and you just see Wade immediately turn something down, and Ben Mendelsohn goes, "I can understand why you would turn on your motion suppressor," and then you cut the Wade freaking out.
That was pretty awesome. I like that part. But again, in order for to go back to that one thing again, for that to have worked, they would have had to have Ben Mendelsohn's skin also, and the only person that had seen Ben Mendelsohn's skin, Wade Watts had been in the room before.
Yeah.
So maybe he recorded. Where was he at whenever he? Oh, he was inside of his
little room, so he might have been able to come
inside the room at that time.
Yeah, he was projected as a hologram into the room, so he might have been able to record what was happening in that room. That would
probably have worked. It would have made more sense if that's what happened.
Because if he just managed to snatch with just one screen grab, that was more than enough.
But like I said, nobody had ever seen Ben Mendelsohn's character before. Besides,
well, he's the head of iOS, so I imagine they've seen him somewhere.
I know. Well, I just when Wade first had seen. I don't know. I forget.
Well, you got to remember.
I gotta watch this movie again to pick up.
Because I'm trying to think, was that before or after Artemis snuck in there?
Artemis had snuck in there because that's how they got the password to it.
Yeah.
So maybe something Artemis was able to make that skin for that room, or there's just something that exists that makes that possible.
Because something happened where they was able to copy the room.
Yeah.
We just can't remember what, but something happened that allowed them to copy the inside of that room. Yeah. Because like they said, you don't have to copy the whole. You just had to copy just the walls and then the chair itself. Yeah. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And then more specifically, you just had to get him to see you as real people.
Yeah, and if he was able to hack into that chair, and then obviously there's something in that environment that you can hack to recreate the environment inside the Oasis.
Yeah, like I said, all he needed was the password. Yeah. And then once he got the password, he activated the chair. He probably cut a camera on the chair and saw the room and recreated that.
Okay. So then, now my last question.
Mm-hmm.
About the very end with Ben Mendelsohn about to shoot Wade. Why did he change his mind? I can't quite understand why he changed his mind about shooting him.
I'm thinking because since he had already done it, what's the point?
Well, that's what my thing. Wade. He said he's already won. Me killing him will not give me
the Oasis.
And then he just go ahead and just marvel in what just happened.
It was like it was like one of those, and maybe it also struck on him that I'm about to shoot a kid.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm about to shoot a kid who's living the happiest moment of his life.
Yeah.
Look at me. I'm about to shoot a kid.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
That was his final moment of clarity.
Yeah, like he had a moment of clarity, like I am about to kill a kid.
Because he gave up like right after that too.
Yeah.
He did not. He went to jail like he was, which leaves him available for the sequel.
Oh yeah, because he's still alive.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but I thought the ending was cool.
Yeah, that's a change to a Steven Spielberg-esque ending where you normally would kill the bad guy. He didn't kill the bad guy this time.
Yeah. Well, he didn't, but also did kill the bad guy in a way.
Yeah, he killed the bad guy. He killed the bad elements of the guy.
He killed the Avatar.
He did kill the Avatar. Yeah, so
so now if he does come back, he has to start all the way over.
And he's made T.J. Miller mad.
Oh yeah,
So
IROC
we
is
could-
mad at him.
Yeah, we might see him as the come up as the villain.
He-
At least,
not as a villain, but as someone who changes allegiances.
yeah.
Someone who's like low level. He still keeps the avatar. No, because he probably spent a lot of money on that hollowed out skull design for himself.
Yeah,
So what does the original IROC look like?
right. Man, so
But and then let's talk about some of those Easter eggs.
okay.
Like I was talking about how like Percival had a Thundercats belt buckle, but it wasn't like Lionel's round one he wore. It was actually like a standard rectangle slide belt buckle, military style, but it had the Thundercats logo in black on top of it. I thought that was cool. The motorcycle Artemis drove was cool too. That was a reference to the anime Akira.
Yeah. So at first I was wondering why when most of the references in this movie are like 80s references, and then I remembered who the game developer is and why, because I was wondering, it was like, why is even Wade so interested in all of those 80s things? Because he lives in this universe. That's all that's in there because of who developed it. This is his whole life in this entire game. So that made more sense to me. It's like, why has it got to be so many 80s references? It's like, okay, it makes sense now. Everyone's lived inside this game for years now.
Yeah, he's grew up in the Oasis, so it makes sense that he would be enthralled with the 80s just as much as anyone else.
It seems like they can also go to the movie theater in this movie, and that's probably how he's watched so many of those older movies.
It looked like he get to live these movies.
Yeah, so,
which is probably cooler than just watching them.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering too. If that may not have been his first time actually going inside of a movie, because he didn't really.
Oh, but they also did say that he changed it.
He changed it. Well, who changed it?
How did they change the the Shining?
He changed it because
it was a puzzle.
Yeah, because of the puzzle, and he didn't get to finish watching it.
Yeah.
So he changed it.
So he fixed the end.
Puzzle piece.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's still that's so many cool little details in there. Like,
yeah, there's so many Easter eggs that I saw: the Battletoads, the Ninja Turtles, RoboCop.
Yeah, yeah, RoboCop.
There's just so many. Like he was telling me that in the same scene near the end when I saw Sagat from Street Fighter, the Joker was like next to him. I'm like, how did I miss the Joker? But I did because I saw Sagat.
Yep.
But then the end when he was fighting the main villain's avatar, and he threw Hadouken.
No, yeah.
As a Street Fighter fan, that made me so happy to see him throw the Hadouken accurately. Yeah. He even called it out by name. I'm like, thank you.
Now, is that the kick he used to kick?
That was the flash kick.
Oh, that was the flash kick. Okay.
That was from Guile from Street Fighter. He hit him with Hadouken, then did a Guile flash kick. Yeah, like I told you, I know my Street Fighter. Yeah. I saw Ryu in the movie and I got excited. Yeah. So in this one movie, I saw Ryu, Chun-Li, and Sagat. Yeah. And that's the closest thing we're going to probably get to a good Street Fighter movie in a long time.
The Ninja Turtles.
Good Ninja Turtles movie, Mortal Kombat movie. Because Goro was in the movie.
Yeah, and Batman was in the movie for a second.
and the 60s Batmobile.
I missed that part. I heard about it, but I missed it.
How did you miss it? It was like the part. It was one of the. It was.
Was that the first part with the race?
Yeah, it was during the race.
I was just looking at that the whole time, and just looking around. That was like the very first time we actually got into the Oasis, and I was just looking at everything, but the cars, I guess.
Yeah, I thought it was also kind of cool that when you're not using the car, it's actually like a model.
Oh yeah.
And then when you're ready to use it, you drop it and then it grows full size.
Yeah, because I was wondering about that at first. Whenever they were looking at the models, and it was like, those they grow into bigger things because when he shrunk her bike and fixed it up.
Mm-hmm. The whole world was fully realized, very well thought out. H spent a lot of money on her little mods. Yeah. With the whole rotating torso thing. I thought that was cool.
And the fact that Twitch is still going to exist.
Oh yeah, Twitch is going to exist, and then you can get walkthroughs. You're literally getting live walkthroughs on Twitch. I thought it was also kind of cool how he said how Percival said he was going to go to the back.
Yes.
And then he threw his car down. I'm like, what are you going to the back for? Then when cars would wreck out, he would spin by, open his little thing, and collect the coins. I'm like, he's farming. Yes.
that was a really cool way that they collect the coins too, and how when you pretty much die or fail, your coins just fly everywhere, and they're just collectibles after that.
So I imagine that after Parsifal 1, he probably let everyone come back and get their crap.
I would assume so. I would hope so. Because they're just all laying around.
Is this laying up
collected it all? That would be really messed up.
Yeah. But that's something a gamer would do. He'd be like, "Well, I got a farm now." He's like, "I get look at all this XP laying around."
No way that 100% of that is gonna, or everybody's gonna get 100% of their stuff back.
No.
That somebody's going to steal from somebody, and
or they're gonna be like, "Well, I get to start over. I get to play a different way now."
Yeah. That would be the way I would look at it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just time to start fresh.
Because now that there's so many new things they could add. Like I said, like when he threw Mechagodzilla down, I'm like, Mechagodzilla. Oh no, I don't know what to do with this information. He's piloting Mechagodzilla. That is awesome. Then Iron Giant is fighting Mechagodzilla, and now a Gundam is fighting Mechagodzilla. My brain was just in. Oh, I didn't know how to process what I was seeing, but I'm glad I was seeing it.
Yeah, but what was the last thing I was gonna say? I don't know. So, well, I mean, this was never addressed in the game, but if the developer of the game was dead, which is Halliday, if he's dead, how is this? Is this like open, sort of like an open source thing where the people within the game can create their own games, or that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, because
how does this expand?
It's pretty much just like Gregarious Games is still a company.
Yeah, because that's what all those. I know all those extras and stuff like the Zemeckis Cube and all that stuff. Those were developed from users. And you can repair your own thing.
Yeah, the Oasis is pretty much like Steam in a way.
Yeah, so it's open source.
Yeah, it's like Gary's Mod, for example.
Yeah.
Like you have your base Steam, you have your base Source Engine games like your Half-Lives and your Left 4 Deads and whatnot. But then you buy Gary's Mod and you can make new things based on the engine.
Yeah.
So like Oasis is basically a game engine. And then people are just going in and building what they want, in which is H case, I want the Iron Giant, I'm going to build the Iron Giant. And it was cool how he activated it. Yeah. He's activated it, you see like the top half swinging, and he calling the legs over, and he just drops and they connect in place. I'm like, it's the Iron
Giant. Why something like the Catalyst is able to exist in that universe is beyond me, though.
Oh, because it's so expensive. Like anything, it's like if you make it expensive enough, it's impossible to get. Right. And the only way he was able to afford it is because he was the owner of IOI. He probably created the Catalyst for just such a reason.
Yeah. So, but T.J. Miller's character, he was the one that he collected the orb thing or whatever that was.
No, it was someone else who had the orb, and then he got zeroed out.
He got zeroed out.
Hey, he was so now he had to watch it.
Oh. Okay, so is there anything else you wanted to talk about in this movie?
Anything else I wanted to talk about? I just thought all the way everybody's avatars with like different references was cool. One thing I liked about this movie is like when something was a reference to something, they just let it exist.
Right.
They didn't have to like beat you over the head with what it was, or
this movie wasn't out there to try to
sell you anything. It was just there to be like, hey, this person just looks like so.
If they sold you anything, is that they really want the Oasis to be a real.
If anything, they may have just sold me a Vive or a Rift or a PlayStation VR. Yeah. If anything, but I don't feel like they would like selling me anything in this movie.
But the one thing that gets me though is that this is supposedly like less than 20 years away in this movie, but the technology pretty much exists now. Besides, I don't know that the technology is completely there for you to be able to be fully for the graphics and everything and how big that universe was of the Oasis. I don't think that's quite there yet, unless it exists in an online thing, because I don't think the storage capacity that anything has.
Yeah, but the Oasis would definitely have to be in the cloud.
But if you can get like 125 gigabyte micro SD card, but I don't think micro SD can handle. I don't know.
They actually are trying to make a 2 terabyte SD card.
Okay.
So it can happen.
It can happen eventually. Because some, like even the games that we play on the Xbox One and stuff, I mean that stuff is stored on a hard drive, but when you actually get into the gameplay, the graphics aren't as much there as it is. It doesn't really have to be the graphics. I just want this universe to type this type of.
If they, you know what, they could actually just make it an Oasis game and then base it on things that happen in the. They could actually do like make an Oasis game, not make it like a full Oasis kind of thing,
right?
But make it like so like you could do
if
certain.
If you lay the groundwork, then the creators will be there.
Like you like make the Oasis and then like say for example,
or lay the foundation. There.
Just make a Planet Doom game.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Planet Doom. I want more of an open source universe.
No, what I'm saying is start with Planet Doom,
okay,
but actually make it true like Planet Doom from the movie,
right?
And then just slowly expand on it from there.
Just a free for all universe of games that you can choose from.
Yeah.
Is what and that you can be.
Yeah, like instead of making the Oasis like one big game, break it up into smaller games. Like call this one the Oasis Planet Doom, Oasis. The golf game they had, Oasis mountain climbing.
Well, actually, for this to work, the game you would have to be online because of the social aspect of this game. Of this being, you're talking to real people in this game, or the avatars of real people.
I wanted his coat too.
And I don't know if an omnidirectional treadmill actually exists or not, but that's also really cool.
But that could do it. That could something they can make down the line too. I thought that was.
It would have to be some kind of like if you turned a mouse upside down.
You would just have to be the trackball.
So you would need a trackball type treadmill with. We would have to have a harness.
Well, he was harnessed.
Yeah. He exactly how they did it in this movie, where you're harnessed. So it is a lot to it.
There's a lot to it, but it would be really cool.
And then, but even the suit, that type of technology has to exist. I would think.
Yeah, and I think I didn't think it was that suit that made him fall in love with her too. Yeah, because he's like, I ain't never felt that before, so. I want more of that, please.
I think a suit like that can exist, but like I said, everything right now would be extremely expensive because it's brand new technology. It
was brand new technology in the movie.
Yeah, well, it was brand new to him seemingly, but I don't think even with the amount of coins that he was able to. I don't know how the currency works. I am putting way too much thought into this movie.
Well, once he found the first key, he had enough to afford it. I think that was the idea. Like it's easy. It's like everything in this game is easy to get just by doing stuff in the game. You just may have to do a lot of stuff in the game. Yeah. It's almost like the perfect example. Street Fighter V is out for PlayStation 4 right now. You could actually go out and spend real money to unlock all the things in the game. Yeah. But there's a mechanic called fight money, where you go online and you play people online, and if you win, you earn fight money, which you can turn around and spend on the things you have to spend real money on. Granted, it just takes a lot of fight money to get these things, but it can be done with fight money.
And but the only other thing would be the way that the currency works. Obviously, there would have to be a regulation because that money just can't transfer into real life money. But where we are with like Bitcoin right now, we aren't far from.
It pretty much coin was just cryptocurrency because you just buy everything in the world of the Oasis where currency is all the same, coin.
Right. But I mean, for that to work, they actually have to have some sort of value behind it. Behind all they can't just like send you the suit because you earned enough coin inside the game. There actually has to be some sort of way that coin has value to the person that's receiving that.
I think it does, but that's why they were saying that I was supposed to pay off the house.
Yeah.
They were ready to jump out of windows when they lost it all because there is money behind it.
Yeah, it converts into regular currency.
Yeah, so there's money behind it. So that is a part of this world that having coin equals money. Mm-hmm. So that's why even though it puts you on the scoreboard, it counts as money.
Yeah. But yeah,
I'm ready to see this again.
Yep, me too. I want to watch this again and again and again and again. But anyways, guys, we gave you this is our very, very long spoiler review for this movie.
And I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, and we gave our scores already.
Yes.
Which was, mine was a 9.5.
Yeah.
You gave it a 10.
I gave it the full 10. I wish I could give it an 11.
So anyways, guys, that was, like I said, if you watched this whole video, I'm proud of you. We rambled on quite a bit.
We rambled on and we rambled on, but just like two excited nerds, we had fun.
Yeah. So anyways, guys, we'll go ahead and throw up our trusty old names here. I'm Walker Cheatham, and you can find me on all my social medias at Walker Cheatham.
Find me at EJ Flemming at all my social media, GeekChamps
Alright, guys, like I said, this has been our spoiler review. Make sure you check out our last episode of the Movie Champ Show, episode 26, and also check out some of our movie reviews. Those are down there in the corner. Guys, thank you for watching this spoiler review for Ready Player One. We'll see you next time.
Peace.